We cannot let a show go by without keeping our promise that we are going to continue to follow everything that is going on the front of making a murderer. We'll start with an email. Got an email from Norman who writes, "Hey, John, just a little different perspective on the Avery Netflix special. If one never wants to be convicted of a crime when you are innocent, stay out of the system. If you look at convictions that have been overturned, virtually every one of those people were in the system and convicted of previous crimes. Avery was in the system multiple times. There is no doubt in my mind that Avery is guilty. However, the nephew seems to have the IQ of a typical Democrat, and I'm not sure about his guilt. In the first Netflix special, the kid said they raped, murdered, and cut up the victim in Avery's bedroom, but when the police examined the bedroom, they could not find any blood. This seems inconceivable that you could butcher someone and not have blood splatter. Signed, Norm." I love the Democrat joke in there. When it comes to it, I'm convinced that both of them are guilty. I know a lot of people do say that they believe Avery is guilty, but they feel bad for Dassey because they think that Dassey was unfairly treated, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying that's what Norm is talking about here, but that's what a lot of people have said. Our news team went down to the Manitowoc area last Friday and was talking to people, and that seemed to be the common thread among folks. And honestly, for me, I'm in a position where I'm more convinced that Dassey is guilty than Avery, if anything, because Dassey's the one that's confessed to it. Dassey is the one that offered up specific details that law enforcement officers didn't give. Avery stuck with his deny, I'm innocent. Dassey spilled the beans. We have Bruce in Green Bay calling back in. Bruce, how's it going?
Good. Thank you and I apologize for getting a little testy on the phone. I'm a little frustrated by all of this.
That's fine.
To the area. Well, I've been here 22 years, but I'm new to I love Manitowoc. I'm going to say all the things, you know. I love Green Bay. I stayed here. Mm-hmm. I love the people from this area. But one of the things that I know, I've been interrogated probably at the same age level as Dassey when I was a kid for something I didn't do. And I was coerced into admitting all these things. I took every kid in the neighborhood and I put them all on the chopping block based on nothing because the policeman interrogated me for 4 hours. I think I was 10 years old or 12 years old at the time. I kind of blocked it out of my head. I was devastated. I was bawling. I was crying. They wouldn't let me go and they threatened to take me to an area in out east, which was at the time was called Sakanonset. It was kind of I don't know if it was even real, but it was a threat that this is where they put all the boys when they're bad in school. Okay, and this is what he kept telling me, we're going to send you there. Okay, I'm reliving this. Okay, and I'm not desensitized to the fact that I'm thinking mostly of the woman who was killed. God, to have that man out there still at large, I simply, I'm trying to be unbiased. I simply don't get it, okay? There were mistakes. I don't know. I can't tell you let them go. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say let any of them go. But it deserves a fair trial.
Well,
when I
it did get a fair trial.
Here, I was astonished at the reaction I got from the people that live in the area. Okay,
Bruce, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off here since I've got a follow-up question for you. So, the people of the area were probably quite aggravated, and they probably do not like Dassey and Avery because they're murderers. They got a fair trial, and they were convicted of murder. Like, Avery had terrific defense, and his terrific defense that he's now throwing under the bus couldn't even save him. Just wondering, though, when you're talking about, yourself being interrogated in your younger years, if you didn't commit the crime, why did you admit to it? Like, I feel like if I'm innocent, I'm not taking the blame for something I didn't do. I'm telling him no, regardless of what you try and get me to do, I'm going to tell you the truth, and it's that I didn't do it.
I wanted to go home. I was hungry.
But that's not a legitimate reason to admit to a crime that you didn't commit. That's like Dassey saying you wanted to watch WrestleMania on Sunday. You have to realize that you defend yourself. You have to, if you didn't do it, stick up for yourself.
No, if you've ever been interrogated, you get to a point where you don't even know what's real anymore. Okay, you're constantly thinking of going to jail. You're constantly wondering.
But why would you go to jail if you didn't do anything? They would have to actually try you in a court of law if you were going to be convicted of something, and if you didn't do it, then it's probably going to come back that there wasn't nearly enough evidence to convict you, and you'd be free to go.
Well, let's leave it at these are the things you learn when you grow older. If they ever try to interrogate me again, they're going to get a completely different reaction. I will agree with you there.
All
but
right,
for a man like you to wonder what's going in a child's head or a childish person's head, okay? That's all I can say, sir.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for your call, as always. And, I know what was going on in Brendan Dassey's head. He was thinking about the murder he committed and the gruesome details about it, and that's what he told police. Back to the phone again to Joe and Nina. What's going on, Joe?
Well, the easiest way for Brandon to get released is for his uncle to confess to the crime that he committed and say that Brandon didn't have anything to do with it. But that was not the case. You know, I hate this idea of blaming the cops for all the false, the defenders, you know, people that defended him, you know, and this is exactly what they're doing. They did it the first time around, and they're doing it the second time around. The cops are not guilty of anything. The cops didn't plant a single piece of evidence. Mm-hmm. Now, they've been bringing it up about the mistakes that were made during the investigation and the evidence. All right? And even, you know, if you look at it from the standpoint of even more evidence being brought against them to try them the second time, these investigators that are exploiting this for whatever reason are coming forth with more evidence to convict them than less.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for your call. I do appreciate it. And if at this point Stephen Avery came out and said, no, it was just me, my nephew had nothing to do with it, I don't want Brendan Dassey being released for that, because we've already gone through the court proceedings on all of this. We've already heard Dassey admit that he was part of it. He's been convicted of murder. I don't want Stephen Avery saying, I don't want both of us locked up, so I'm going to let Dassey out since, you know, he's got a longer life ahead of him. I don't want the guy getting out, because we've already established, a jury of his peers has convicted him that this man is guilty of murder. I do not want that man getting out on the streets at this point. Maybe there was a difference at the time when they were first apprehended if Avery said, you know what, this was all me. Dassey had nothing to do with it. There's no reason to have him locked up. And Dassey said, I didn't do this. Then sure, then we can talk. But after Dassey's been convicted, I'm not letting a murderer back out on the street. Heck no. But hey, I appreciate everybody with we got somebody really quick saying all these people who think that they are innocent should watch the Reels TV channel Murder Made Me Famous. Stephen Avery, way better portrayal. You can't watch that and come to the innocent conclusion. And that's the thing with Make a Murder. It's so one-sided. They're so anti-cop. They're so pro Stephen and Brendan, even though those guys are murderers. It just drives me nuts. But, you know, we're going to continue talking about it. Episode 5 of Part 2 of Making a Murderer. We discuss that on tomorrow's program.